Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the most chaotic, intense, and quite frankly thrilling sporting events on planet Earth. We're talking about a game that literally takes over an entire town and brings everyday life to a screeching halt.
All right, just picture this for a second. Imagine stepping out of your front door on a crisp, serene Christmas morning, expecting a quiet, cozy holiday, right? But instead, you find a massive 300-man scrum battling it out right in your street. A quiet Scottish island town just suddenly erupting into absolute mayhem, with this giant crowd surging through narrow streets, squeezing into tiny alleyways, and just pushing with absolutely everything they've got.
So you really have to ask yourself, what exactly is the Kirkwall back? I mean, at first glance, it kind of looks like a jaw-dropping extreme version of rugby with absolutely zero boundaries. But to really get what's happening here, we need to peel back the layers of this incredible event. What is this game? Where exactly is it played? And why on earth does it inspire such fierce loyalty?
Let's get right into Section 1, the ultimate street game, defining the factions and the field. Let's break down the two massive groups that effectively hijacked the town of Kirkwall up in Orkney, Scotland during this wild tradition.
Now in Kirkwall, geography literally dictates your lifelong loyalty. It's the uppies versus the doonies. Historically, if you were born above the market cross, well, you're an uppie, and your goal is Mackinson's Corner. Born below it, you're a doonie, and your ultimate goal is the water of Kirkwall Bay. And these two goals sit about 500 yards apart. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 10 football fields of dense urban terrain standing between a team and total victory.
So what are these guys actually fighting over? Well, the ba itself is this beautifully handcrafted, cork-filled leather ball that weighs roughly 3 pounds. It's a genuine Orcadian treasure that sits right at the very center of this swirling 300-man scrum. It is the absolute sole focus of all that chaotic energy.
Moving on to Section 2, Centuries of Chaos, Tracing the Historical Roots. Let's take a look at the timeline to get a real sense of the deep history that shaped the Kirkwall Bay.
What's really staggering here is the sheer age of this whole thing. The very first recorded Kirkwall Ba game popped up way back around 1650. Then, by 1850, as the town grew, the streets were actually deemed too narrow for kicking the ball, so the players naturally adapted and shifted to using their hands, which created the massive scrum we see today. You also see these incredibly deep, multi-generational family legacies. Like, get this. Postman David Marwick won the ball in 1935 and was actually presented with it at work because he was stuck on a Christmas shift. And in 1961, the father of a prominent player, James Linklater, won the boys' ball. This game is literally in their blood.
Now, despite this massive, centuries-long history, you might be wondering how often this actually happens. Well, just 2 days a year. The game is fiercely exclusive in its schedule, happening only once on Christmas Day and then again on New Year's Day. That's it. Just 2 days of total, glorious town takeover.
Section 3, Rules of the Scrum. How to play a game with almost no rules. Because let's face it, managing a 300-man pack requires some kind of guidelines, even if they're a bit sparse. The rules are actually surprisingly simple. Basically, you must move the bag to your goal by non-mechanical means. No cars, no bikes, just pure human effort. The men's games begin precisely at 1 p.m. when the ball is thrown from St. Magnus Cathedral. Oh, and the boys' game starts a bit earlier at 10 a.m. But here is the real kicker. There are 0 timeouts. None. Play continues completely uninterrupted until there is a victor. Matches can be incredibly fast, lasting just 14 minutes, or they can drag on in this grueling, exhausting test of endurance for over 3.5 hours.
And because there's no designated field, the game travels completely unpredictably. The chaos literally swallows the whole town. I mean, the scrum moves through side streets, squeezes past local businesses, and yep, even rolls right through graveyards. Sometimes it even features these stealthy breakouts. This is when a small, sneaky group of players manages to smuggle the bat away in the dark, keeping the main pack totally distracted while they just quietly sneak toward their goal. So literally every single alleyway is a potential strategic escape route.
Section 4, Danger in the Streets, Managing the Risks of the Ba. With 300 men pushing through narrow streets, you've got to be wondering about accidents, right?
Well, surprisingly, considering the sheer intensity of it all, there are very few major injuries. But that is only because safety protocols are taken incredibly seriously. Players absolutely must ease off during pack collapses and instantly help anyone in distress. Medics are always on standby for dehydration and injuries for sure. Climbing on roofs, strictly forbidden. You got to protect property and people. And for the crowd, spectators, pets, and children absolutely must keep a wide distance from the pack. Common sense is paramount when a literal human avalanche is heading your way.
So how does the city itself survive this? Well, every single year, the community essentially armors their homes. The Bank Committee secures strong planks of wood. Homeowners and businesses actively board up their doors and windows to prevent glass from shattering under all that pressure. And residents make very sure to move all their parked cars far away from the likely path of the gig. It is a massive, full-town effort to prepare for the oncoming onslaught.
All right, bringing us to Section 5, Beyond the Botch, what winning means in Rivals Abroad. Let's look at what victory actually signifies here and see if this kind of madness exists anywhere else.
I want you to really think about this quote from James Linklater, the 2011 winner. He said, "If given the choice between winning a Bez or a full cap for the Scotland football team, I would take the Bez every time." Wow, that is just staggering. This powerful statement completely elevates the Bez from some quirky local pastime to a monumental sporting achievement. For the men who play it, this literally defines their lives.
Now, is it played elsewhere? Well, while the Kirkwall ball itself is unique to Kirkwall, the nearby town of Stromness has its own fierce, town-dividing New Year's tradition. But instead of a leather ball and a scrum, Stromness features a massive log pole tug-of-war. They divide up into North Enders and South Enders. It just really goes to show that the Orkney Islands have a deep-rooted, almost genetic love for intense, community-dividing holiday battles.
But jumping back to Kirkwall, what's truly beautiful about the Ba is how the winner is actually decided. The final winner isn't necessarily the person who physically scores the goal. Actually, scratch that. It's almost never just about who scores. The winner is chosen by the acclaim of their teammates to keep the treasured ball forever. So winning isn't just about athletic brute force. It's a profound sign of respect. It's a lifelong legacy bestowed upon a player by his peers for years of true dedication and skill.
After unpacking centuries of history, looking at boarded-up windows, incredibly deep family allegiances, and these massive 300-man street scrums, I want to leave you with this final thought. If you were born in Kirkwall, which side of the street would you stand on? Would you be an uppie, a doonie, or would you just watch safely from the sidelines? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparked your curiosity.